Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is Jessica and I am ThisKiwi, and it is time to read the beats. So this month we have Brooklyn. Thank you so much, Brooklyn, for being a part of Read the Beats. I really appreciate it. I'm so excited. I don't really know what to expect from these songs, to be honest. I got a little bit of a spoiler alert just because of how YouTube thumbnails work and stuff like that, but we'll get to that a bit later. I'm very excited. I'm thinking there may be a Taylor Swift song in there because if I remember rightly, when the Eras tour was happening, there was like a lot of talk between like a lot of booktubers, and I'm pretty sure Brooklyn was talking about it when that was happening. So I'm expecting a Taylor Swift song in there, but apart from that, I have no idea. So I'm very excited. Let's get straight into this. Yeah. Before we do start, make sure you go ahead and go to Brooklyn's channel and subscribe, like, all of that kind of stuff. Brooklyn is doing Bookmas at the time of filming this, so go ahead and watch those videos. Brooklyn has brought out a really cool like Christmas gift guide and stuff like that. If you're struggling to find gifts, maybe for next year by the time this video comes out, it's a great little guide. So yeah, go ahead and check those out, and you never know, you could get some ideas. Okay, let's start playing.
Hello, Jessica. I am so excited to be participating in this. Thank you for including me in this round of Read the Beats. I'm so excited to watch your video and also listen to those songs, and for me to share what I'm planning on giving you, because I'm so excited to see what you pick from these. And if you can hear a little bit of background sound, that is my dog chewing up everything, so just bear with me with that.
The cutest dog in the entire world. The same video that I said about the Christmas buying, the dog appears in that, and honestly, worth watching it just for that. Such a cute puppy. Such a cute puppy. Although we don't approve of chewing on notebooks.
Because I can't stop her, so the way she stops crying. So the first one that I want to share with you is like my all-time favorite song ever. I don't really have a reason why it's my favorite song.
That's a lot of pressure. That's a lot of pressure. Okay.
Just is.
Fair.
And it's Careless Whisper by George Michael.
Woo!
I just have like such a love of this song, and it just makes me feel so good. And I don't know why. I'm gonna have it as like my garter song when like Owen's going up my dress at the wedding, and I think that's hilarious. Aww. And I don't know, I love the saxophone in it. It's just giving everything that it needs to give. I just get in the mood to like dance when I listen to it. And I have a reason why that's my favorite song ever. It just is, and everyone laughs at me when I say that it is. But
fair, no laughing. Absolutely, George Michael is like a top-notch voice. Rest his soul. That's not what I expected. I'm very pleasantly surprised. Brooklyn, we could have very similar music taste.
Whatever. Next song is If I Can Dream by Elvis Presley. And this might be shocking for like a lot of people. I don't know. I just like love Elvis.
Yes.
But this song just gets me in the feels, especially since the Elvis movie. That's why I'm gonna like preface it with like, I did not really have a connection with this song until I saw the Elvis movie. But that movie just made me love this song so much.
Was it in the Elvis movie? I've seen the Elvis movie a couple of times. I don't remember ever hearing this song. Maybe when I hear it, I will remember it. Yeah, I don't remember ever hearing this song. Straight away, Elvis, though, I'm thinking something like, depending on like when it was released, so something based in like the 50s or the 60s, probably more the 50s. I don't know, maybe like a music romance is what I'm thinking.
just because of like the background of what's happening and why he wrote this song. It was like written in like minutes, which I just think is incredible. Like it just shows how cool Elvis was.
Okay.
But it's like it's written, like there's background to it. You can look it up yourself, but wrote it as RFK was just assassinated, and it's like mostly to do with Martin Luther King. It's just like a scary time, I think, for America and just a lot of different places with a lot of different things going on.
That gave me the chills first off. So maybe something to do like around the time of Martin Luther King / JFK. Okay. But I did not know that. Wow. Interesting.
And there was just so much violence happening. And I just love this song and the lyrics, and it just makes me emotional every time I hear it. So you can go with like so many different routes on what you read for that, I think. So yeah, I'm interested to see what you pick for that one. Lastly, I had to pick a Harry Styles song. Like, you know me, I've got him in the corner.
Oh my gosh.
Like, Harry Styles is my favorite artist. And I was like really tossing up because I don't really have a favorite song. I was thinking about a few different ones that are my favorites. But this one, it has my name in it, and just hearing Harry Styles say my name is like,
Really?
So that's
Cool.
what we're going to go with, and it's Ever Since New York, his debut album, and I think just the lyrics in that song is beautiful, and I think you could go with like a book set in New York, maybe during Christmas if you read it around Christmas time. I was thinking that. And yeah, I just love that song so much, so I wanted to share it with you, and hopefully you like it too. But yeah, they're the songs that I chose for you. I'm excited to see what you picked for me, and I hope you maybe find a new favourite song. I don't know. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed, and I shall chat with you very soon.
Okay, so I am here. I am just over 30% of the way through Assistant to the Villain. I'm actually on chapter 17. I'm actually really enjoying it. Look, if you go into this with expectations, you're not going to have a good time because it is very immature and like there's a plot, but it's very slowly happening. If you go into this with zero expectations, which I did, because to be fair, I have heard some pretty bad things about this the past few days. And it was really interesting watching Gavin's video where he read Romantasy, and it featured Assistant to the Villain as well. I will try and link that above. So yeah, I went into this completely with zero expectations about it being good at all. And like that's kind of how I originally intended to go into it anyway. But I'm really enjoying it. It's kind of coming to me at a time where things are like really busy and stressful, and chronic pain is not going so well. And so being able to just sit and relax with a book that requires zero brain cells is actually really good for me right now. So it's working really well. As far as relating it back to the song for Careless Whisper, George Michael, it works really well because the song to me is quite cheesy, like especially that first little bit. It's very, well, actually the whole song is really cheesy, let's be honest. Well, I mean, when it first came out, it was probably like considered very sexy, very sexy, very sexy. But yeah, it's so cheesy and it makes me giggle every time. And this book has made me giggle a few times, and this book is very cheesy as well, especially Evie and like kind of her interactions with the villain and how she reacts and stuff like that. I'm really enjoying it. I'm hoping to finish it today. Got about just over 4.5 hours. I could be expecting a courier today. And that could totally distract me for the rest of the day if that comes. So yeah, we will see. But I think Assistant to the Villain was exactly the right choice for Careless Whispers. I thought I had updated you more than I had for Assistant to the Villain, but that's okay. We went from 30% to 100%. I thought Assistant to the Villain was actually quite good. Now, bear in mind that I had zero expectations of it being good, and I just kind of, yeah, I went into it with zero expectations. I knew that a few people really didn't like it. The book does have its flaws, I will give it that, but if you're going to it with zero expectations, just go in to have a good time and relax. There was not really any stakes to it, so that was good. I think for December being such a crazy time of year and stuff like that, I think it was actually good timing for me, because this year, it's always this time of the year, it is quite stressful. And so it kind of came into my TBR when I needed it to. And so for that reason, I gave it a 4-star. I quite liked the audiobook for it. I think maybe if I didn't have the audiobook, it would have been like a 3.5, 3.75. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. There were definitely some cheesy, cringy moments, exactly like Careless Whispers. So it was a very good pick for that song. I listened to it the other day, and yeah, it still makes me giggle. That first little bit just always makes me giggle. And this book made me giggle quite a few times. So yeah, sorry Jonah, but I enjoyed it. Okay, I'm actually in the middle of reading another book for another blog, but the next on my TBR is going to be the Elvis book, and I chose Rage by Stephen King. So that'll be really interesting. That's a really short one, so I don't know how much I'm going to update you like through the middle of it. Okay, so welcome to the plan. This is like, what, 150 pages? Not even that. 130 pages. So it's not a long book, but being Stephen King, it requires a few brain cells. And so I'm going to do mini sprints using Harry Potter. Now this is really showing how geeky I am, but I'm going to use the room of requirement and some of the timed elements there where you've got to wait for things. I'm going to be using that because some of these chapters in these books are like half a page to a page. Like you've got that, and that's it. And then you've got some longer ones. But like that there. So yeah, I'm going to use some of those timed elements. Now they range from like 1 minute to 15 minutes. So for little mini sprints, I'm going to be doing that. Hoping I can finish this book today, 130 pages. If not, it'll be tomorrow morning. And yeah, I will I'll probably check in with you about halfway through this book because yeah, it's quite complicated. And I have a feeling that I will have some thoughts, so I will see you then. Okay, so I have finished the story Rage. I finished it a couple of days ago, actually. I needed some time to kind of think about it because it was it was an interesting book in like the fact that it was so short, but like things happened really quickly. Now the reason I chose it was because with the Elvis song "If I Can Dream," I believe is the name of that song. Um, he kind of wrote it in response to the assassination of, it was either Martin Luther King or JFK, and so he wrote it in response to that within like a few minutes and performed it and stuff like that. Um, and so the reason why I chose this wasn't necessarily for the story; it was more because of this story um, being located in quite a few places where there was school shootings and stuff like that in the US. Stephen King responded to that by essentially letting it fall out of publication, which was really interesting. And he also wrote a essay called Guns. I will see if I can link that, where he talks about why he pulled the book from publication. The story itself was quite interesting. We follow a boy called Charlie, and Charlie kind of had a rough growing up. Not kind of, he did have a rough growing up from his father's side. And essentially, he breaks and throws all of his toys out of the cot and he starts shooting up people. And this is after he already, like, totally smashed in his chemistry teacher's head as well. So there's a bit of violence there. But it goes from a story of a kid doing a school shooting into like this story of a classroom who is kind of admitting to things, and telling stories about their past. And then it turns into ganging up on a single student, and it's not Charlie that they're ganging up on. They actually end up kind of ganging together with Charlie. And yet Charlie is the one that is holding this whole class captive after shooting his teacher. So I don't really know what to think about it, to be honest. And it's really hard for me to rate this because, on one hand, I want to give it a 4 because some of the thing and some of the questions that it's making me ask makes it develop into a 4. But at the same point, the story itself, like, I think needed a bit more work. And I mean, this is a very early Stephen King. This was written in 77. I believe I keep saying to people that this came out in 68. It didn't. It came out in 86. But Rage itself was 77. It was still very early on in King's career. The story itself kind of needed a bit more work, going from, this kid doing the school shooting to it kind of ended up being like all of his classmates ganging up on a different student. It was a little weird. So yeah, one side of me wants to give it a 4-star, one side of me wants to give it a 3-star. I might make it a 3.75. I think is going to be. I think is going to be my rating for this one. But I mean, the questions that it raised like nature versus nurture. Did Charlie actually snap, or was it kind of already in him? Like you get to know a little bit about Charlie and his background and kind of the type of person he was as a child, like a young child, which indicates that like there could have possibly been that maniacal, I guess, element already in him. And then you also kind of start thinking about like not necessarily societal peer pressure, but peer pressure in general in a classroom. Like these kids went from absolutely shocked to almost egging Charlie on when he was talking to the teachers and the sheriff, I believe, through the PA system, And they were quite enjoying themselves, and they ended up banding together as a group, even after being embarrassed by like with some of them themselves. So there was that kind of question raised of like how much was it peer pressure? How much did they actually enjoy what was going on? So yeah, very very interesting in that respect. Um, it is a story that I would like to revisit and maybe try and see if there's anything in his writing that kind of answers those questions. But yes, also very, very distinctive Stephen King writing as well. Like his language is quite vulgar. Um, Maybe wasn't considered vulgar during that day, but yeah, I think in today's vernacular, like some of the language that was used would be quite vulgar. So that is Rage by Stephen King. Reading it because of essentially because of the the response was my reason for choosing it. Because the song that Elvis wrote was in response to the shooting of JFK. So yes, I think that worked out really well. I would like to read that essay from Stephen King. That yeah, that was book 2, and on to book 3. Okay, so we have a little bit of a dilemma. I have finished December at 5C4. It's a really weird title. December on 5C4. I finished it, and it was like it wasn't a bad book. It was quite philosophical and also had like some really cheesy dad jokes and stuff like that as well. So that was quite interesting. But here's the dilemma: it's not actually set in New York, or there's nothing that kind of indicates that it is set in New York. And I started reading this with the assumption of using it for the Harry Styles song. So yeah, I thought about maybe keeping it in because Brooklyn did suggest maybe doing like a Christmas in December vibe, but to me the song doesn't really resonate with like Christmas in December and that kind of thing. To me, like all I'm thinking is New York and bittersweet. And I was thinking about the song and I was listening to it and stuff like that, and the first thing that actually came to my mind was 9/11, and that is probably going to trigger quite a few people, but the song itself is quite bittersweet, and 9/11 is not bittersweet. 9/11 is the bitter part. And then I got thinking about there was a movie with Robert Pattinson, and I think it was called Remember Me or something like that. So I wanted to see if there was a book based on that movie because that was a romance that featured 9/11 in there. And sorry, that is a major spoiler, but oh well. So yeah, I started looking for books that kind of featured 9/11. I didn't want anything like too traumatizing. That didn't like fit the song, in my opinion. And so I've actually gone with a romance, The Light We Lost, about a couple that meet during 9/11. Lucy and Gabe meet in New York City on a day that will change their lives and the world forever. As the city burns behind them, they kiss for the very first time. Over the next 13 years, they are torn apart and brought back together time and time again. It is a journey of dreams, of desires, of jealousy, of forgiveness and, above all, love. And as Lucy is faced with a devastating choice, she wonders whether their love is a matter of destiny or chance. What if this is how the story ends? This devastatingly romantic novel about the enduring power of love, with its shocking, unforgettable ending, is perfect for fans of One Day and Talking at Night. So yeah, I thought that sounded quite interesting. It sounded like a challenging journey to get to the place that they're gonna be at, and whether it's a happy ending or not a happy ending, I'm not sure, but it sounds like there is going to be a few bitter and sweet elements in there, so I have actually decided to go with that. Now, forgetting who the author was, the author is Jill Santopolo. So yeah, I'm gonna start listening to that and hope that fits the song better. So The Light We Lost by Jill Santopolo. I finished it this morning, and there really wasn't much point in me kind of stopping halfway through, because like things were happening, but they we're just kind of trudging along. But in saying that, I did give this 5 stars because of the way things were built up and because of the way things ended. This was actually the perfect choice for Harry Styles' song. So it's about this woman who is talking essentially about the love of her life, and just almost writing a love letter to him. And this whole journey goes through their meeting in 9/11, or at 9/11, and then they get together and they break up for a year and go their separate ways, and then they come back together for a little bit longer, and then there's a whole 13-year journey between them kind of being apart and then coming back together and stuff like that. And so there's a lot in the middle about her life away from him. So yeah, the way that it came together, it built their relationship really well. She was comparing a lot of experiences she had with memories that she had of Gabe. Gabe was his name. For the life of me, I can't remember her name. It was really hard because in terms of names of characters, it was written as in I and you a lot. So there weren't a lot of characters that were named. But I think because of that, the whole experience was a lot more personal, and you really felt what she was going through, and the choices that she had to make. You really felt almost you were trying to have to make them as well. So yeah, Jill did an absolutely fantastic job. And one thing I did want to point out, so Harry Styles released his song in 2017. So Harry Styles released Ever Since New York on April 16th, 2017. Okay. The Light We Lost was published on May 9th, 2017. So that was so close together in terms of date of release. And it's almost like the Harry Styles song was actually made for that book. So I absolutely loved that. I would love to get my hands on a physical copy of this book. And it definitely worked a lot better for Ever Since New York than December on 5C4, I believe was the name of that song. Was the name of that story. So yes, great second choice, or third choice. Going back to so that was Read the Beats, episode 5. We kind of ended up reading 4 stories there, unintentionally, but I think we made a much better choice choosing the Jill Santopolo book. So for our first song, Careless Whisper, I chose Assistant to the Villain, which was really such a perfect book for it. The cheesiness between both of them, it really worked. and of course the giggles. And next we had If I Can Dream by Elvis Presley. I chose to read Rage from Stephen King, aka Richard Bachman. And again, that was a really good choice as well, just based on the response to gun violence in America and things like that. Definitely if you can get your hands on it, it's definitely worth reading, just to have a think about. And then we had, I'll pop them up on screen. We had December on 5C4, which for Ever Since New York was not a great fit. And so I decided to redraw that, I guess. And I ended up choosing The Light We Lost by Jill Santopolo. 4-star, 3.5, and Jill Santopolo getting a 5-star. So we did really well for the first Read the Beats of 2025. As always, let me know if you have read any of these books, what your opinions are. I know what some of your opinions are on this one. And I hope you enjoyed it. Until next time, bye-bye.